Welcome back, people. Today, in our news segment, we'll be bringing you news from all across the world, starting with some tragic news from the Caribbean islands. The Arecibo telescope at the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico has collapsed. This came as a major shock to the inhabitants of Puerto Rico, as well as the astronomers and engineers who worked at the observatory. The main question is, how did this all happen? Well, Science.org documents a story from the perspective of an astronomer that appears to be insightful. According to Science.org, Sarvani Vadi, a postdoc astronomer at the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, was working from home on August 10, 2020. She had 1 hour to focus the 305-meter dish on NGC 7469, a faraway galaxy, at 2 a.m. Following a previous galaxy merger, two supermassive black holes spun around each other at its center. Vadi wanted to test if having two dark hearts instead of one helped the galaxy shine brighter by churning up gases and promoting star formation. The blazing gases' radio transmissions would aid her in her search. When she checked in at the end of her observations, the telescope's computer servers indicated that it was no longer looking at the galaxy. She was unable to contact an on-site telescope operator, so she gave up and went to bed. Her email was completely packed when she woke. An 8 centimeters thick steel cable, one of 18, holding a 900-ton instrument platform high above the dish, had torn out of its socket at one end and plummeted, slicing through the dish around 2:45 a.m. at the end of her slot. She was completely shocked. The photons she collected from NGC 7469 would be the final photons Arecibo would ever collect, though she didn't realize at the time. The damage, however, did not end there. A few months later, on November 6, 2020, another support cable appeared to have snapped. By this time, the National Science Foundation had declared the Arecibo telescope to be destroyed due to the repair being too dangerous to be completed. This, however, would not also go as planned, as many other support cables snapped and the platform came crashing down to the dish, causing the Arecibo telescope to officially collapse. The Arecibo telescope was a huge loss to several communities such as astronomy and engineering, workers at the observatory, Puerto Rican citizens, locals living near the area, and a huge economic loss. Often, many students had school trips to the Arecibo Observatory to observe the telescope, being one of the world's best to date in what it did. The Arecibo telescope was 57 years old at the time of its collapse. The telescope was used in many ways. Beginning its journey in 1963, the telescope was used to study the Earth's atmosphere, detect radio light from the universe around us, and study the solar system, particularly near-Earth asteroids, using an active radar system. In the field of astronomy, the collapse of the Arecibo telescope is a huge loss, as it has done some amazing science in the years of its lifetime. The telescope helped astronomers study the solar system bodies deeply and helped research for many projects, such as picking the landing sites for Apollo and Viking and Mars through the radar maps of the Moon and Mars provided by the telescope.